I took my twist out. I felt like it was time. I love having my hair out. I feel like it makes me, it's when I feel the most beautiful having my hair out. So yesterday I just took my twists out. Week 4, it's been 2 weeks now. I'm still showing up for this process and doing the morning pages, but I have to admit I'm dragging my feet for some reason moving to the next weeks. And it's like, you know, you should go to the gym or work out and you don't want to do it. I posted an in the studio video. Hope you enjoyed that. And my base video, my little film that I have been wanting to make, a new idea that came to me recently. This should be week 5, but it's fine, whatever. I'm trying not to beat myself up and remind myself that leaving my employment, my job, to work for myself again was, you know, primarily for me, recovering a sense of control over my schedule and living life how I want to do it. So, week 4 of Artist's Way was about reading deprivation, and I would say I kind of failed spectacularly, but also I didn't. I was reading. I even booked, there was a deal going on for some guy that does sketching, because I'm not confident with sketching. I need to do life drawing again, that kind of stuff, to free up my hand and just get ideas out of my head onto paper. So I saw this ad on Facebook because I was scrolling on Facebook and I think it begins next week. And I believe it's just £10 for the 5 days, an hour an evening, and we'll just do, and it's virtual, it's online. Anyway, that was extensive, and I read stuff like that. But when it came, like, why was I doing it? I don't know. I was not supposed to read a book. I didn't read any books, but when I saw headlines, maybe on social media, I would skip. I wouldn't read it. But anyway, whatever. I still felt like I deprived myself. And I did watch YouTube. I didn't watch Netflix, I don't think. I was watching a lot of art vlogs, and I just restricted myself to art vlogs. So, whatever. I restricted myself and deprived myself. That's what I did. So I think that was okay. So something new for me that I've implemented, and I'm very proud of myself, is my own schedule. I'm already using Asana to batch up my goals in projects. So one of them is YouTube, one of them is making a living from my art and making art. Those are 2 things. So now the next stage was I went on Google Calendar, which I never used to use, and time blocked activities, you know, time slots for each of those activities that will get me there. And it sounds, maybe if you're organized and you're an operator, that's obvious to you, but it's not obvious to me. Like, I don't know how I was operating before, but yeah, I would just wake up and just, I don't know, do whatever took my fancy. And I still sort of do that because that's the joy of working for yourself. I'm in control of my schedule. One thing that I did, and I think it was on my reading deprivation week or the week after, was this really, it was so needed. I'm part of this creative agency called Female Narratives. Tiana, one of the co-founders, did a little workshop online. The bit that caught me was how to write an artist's bio or statement. And this talk was not specifically for visual artists. It was a playful way of describing what you do. But I took that on because I've been saying that I don't know what to write in my bio. The most revelatory part for me was that, are you more operational, like organized, like schedule, or are you just pure creative? And she did split up creative into 2 parts: creative from nothing and curatorial. So, and curatorial has a little bit of operational skills in there. And I think I'm more of the something from nothing creator, which I thought, I don't know, it just really kind of blew my mind and helped make things make sense, like why the job I was just doing is not working for me and why I'm so stressed out, because I'm forcing myself to do something that's not, it's just not what I'm here to do. It's not the way my brain works. Forcing myself in that way is really like affecting my mental health, making me feel like stupid or yeah. Like, so to be honest, I've been really anxious the last few weeks. Today I feel like the lady that I get readings from, she posted something about, you know, transformation, but I like the word metamorphosis, like, you know, caterpillar going into a cocoon and then coming out as a butterfly. I've really been inward for the last 2 weeks, so much so I was starting to worry about myself. Like, I was just been feeling really anxious, really kind of isolating myself as well. But it's okay, like, because I was still, you know, I haven't really been moving forward with the artist's way, though I have been doing the tasks a little bit. I need to do the catch up for week 4 though, and the morning pages, and I have been doing mostly morning pages, so I'm really proud of myself for that. But today I've woken up and I'm feeling fucking amazing. I'm feeling really good today. So this is the week that I make my art website. I'm still gritting my teeth and holding myself a little bit because I haven't, there's no excuses because my boyfriend has lights and I can just use those to take photos. But yeah, it's like, it's currently chucking it down with rain, so it's really grey outside and I want to use natural light for my photos. So I've been taking note of other artists' websites and Instagrams and how they're doing things. A lot of them come through ads, so they're paying for ads on Instagram, which I don't know if I'll do that, but it's one way, like it's getting my attention, so there might be something I can consider. I've been making art as well. I made this, for me, absolutely beautiful pastel piece, this blue, and I'll show the digital drawing that I made before, because when I receive an idea, I have to act on it or it will fade or something. I get afraid it will just go away. So I'm using this app called Freeform on my iPhone, and I don't think I installed it. I think it was already there, and I don't know, I just found it on my phone one day, and I've been drawing my ideas on there, which is really good, and I can remember what I meant by that. So I think I did it within 24 hours of receiving the idea, but it was inspired. I was inspired by another piece that we're now hanging up. I showed it in my last video. I was just staring at the blue part that to me looks like a jellyfish or a mushroom or something, I don't know, and it inspired that piece. So yeah, I've been making a few things. Last night I came across a talk with Hauser Wirth, which is a gallery that I'm interested in, and a talk that they published yesterday with George Condo. I don't really know anything about him, but he keeps popping up on my YouTube feed. And it was insightful. I liked it. He was talking about pastels a lot, which again was affirming for me because I've been using pastels and I'm not gonna lie, I love pastels. They're accessible, they're relatively cheap, not all of them, but I have access to them now, and my process at the moment is just using what I have and using what I have available to me, and I have a whole drawer of materials and stuff like that. Anyway, his latest collection is completely made of pastels, I believe, and acrylic wash. And he was saying, because this is something I've been thinking about, do you use fixative? I know I use fixative on charcoal, but I don't know if you use fixative on soft pastels and oil pastels. And he said he thinks no, and they should just be behind glass. And then he also spoke about Degas, saying that he had a few problems with fixative, which I found very on the nose. You know, synchronicities again. I feel like every time I have a question, then the universe answers it through a video, through a book, through a conversation. So anyway, I loved that, and I just felt affirmed in my choice to use pastels because this big artist is using them. And I really like that. I'll put a screenshot of the video. He was saying that he loves working on this, you know, massive scale, but he likes this very specific paper because it can really take the working in the pastels to the paint to get it to show up. But that only comes in a certain size. So he had these massive, I don't know how big they're really big, but he would cut the edges and then fix them together to make this huge piece. And I was like, oh, I like that, because as I keep saying, we've got these high ceilings, massive, and we really want a piece back here and on that wall over there. And I'm thinking, oh, I can't afford a canvas that big, stretched or unstretched. I think that, I don't know, it's a lot. I haven't really looked into it. I believe I was on Atlantis Art Materials, this art store I used to go to at uni, off Brick Lane in London. And I got some art materials from them recently, and I believe maybe certain rolls of, canvas, I don't know, they were approaching like 70 to 100 pounds. I'm like, that's a lot, that seems like a lot. I also revisited this lecture by this artist, Paul Klein. I don't know what kind of work he does. I think he does these landscapes, not really my stuff, but this lecture has like over 1 million views. And I like what he's saying. And because I've been working on paper at the moment, because it's what I have. I just have these A3 and A1 and a few AO pieces of paper, because that's what I was using back in uni, and I just have it available to me. And as I said, I'm being resourceful and showing myself that I can make with what I have. So I just had a plan to just go through my materials that I have, and then I'll move to canvas or wood board, or just various materials that I'm interested in. Anyway, it's not quite working with paper because it's curling and all this kind of stuff. I think you can flatten it out, but I've been worried that cheapens art, but it doesn't, because people work on canvas and people work on paper. But anyway, in the lecture, he was talking about, in this part, increasing the perceived value of your artwork if you want to. And he was posing the question, could you affix paper pieces to canvas? And he was saying that Rothko did that, which I thought was interesting. It feels like a waste of canvas, but as a step down, I've considered canvas board. I think it's called canvas board. There's an artist I follow, she started doing all her paintings on canvas board. So I considered, maybe, because also I need them to stand up because there's lots of pieces of art dotted around and they're just laying on various tables, and I need to be able to stack them against a wall or something. Anyway, and I think they'll have an easier time going in frames if people want that. So that's something I've been thinking about. And also along that line of perceived value in marketing and stuff, I stole this book from a friend, I'm borrowing it, Decoded by Phil Barden, The Science Behind Why We Buy. So I saw it at his house, my friend's house, and I thought, oh yeah, I need to read that. I had a flick through, and I started reading it, and I couldn't put it down, but I was tired, so I had to. But it was, it has figures, stats, whatever, the boring stuff that backs up why people buy, how people make split decisions on autopilot, choosing brands, in this case artists, because maybe you make similar art to certain other artists, but why would they choose your art over this one? And just affirming some stuff that I already knew and making me feel more confident as well about putting my stuff up for sale. So I've been also putting energy into Black Goth Swim Club. If you are interested in my interview that I did on BBC Radio London, you can check that out here. I'm not sure which side it goes. I'll put a card. So I've been saying that I want to come back in a different way because I now know that I'm not an operator, and that's why I was struggling with hosting the classes. But I can make content and take photos and make films and be confident in my writing. And I definitely want to get the community aspect going again as well. So if you're watching this part of the video and you are a swimmer or a beginner swimmer, you're into mental health and well-being and activities, water-based activities is more what I'm thinking, but I'm open. Traveling for leisure, for the outdoors, culture as well, like just cultural things, plays, books, art, and you're a black woman, it's for black women, but I'm open again, then get in touch, because wherever you are in the world, because I want to connect with you and talk about what other offerings in your area, or just tell your personal story or your experience or about what you do for your well-being and that kind of thing. Basically, get in touch, because we're going to start making some fun series. So I am going to have a little quick peek at week 5. It's already speaking to me. Julia Cameron, as I understand it, was doing these workshops with artists to unblock them, and then she put it all into a book. So she's done this with how many people? So she really understands the process, their ebbs and flows, the roller coaster that we go through doing this. And even though I should have started week 5 last week, it's already, So it's called Recovering a Sense of Possibility. This week, you are being asked to examine your payoffs in remaining stuck. Very relevant. You will explore how you curtail your own possibilities by placing limits on the good you can receive. You will examine the cost of settling for appearing good instead of being authentic. You may find yourself thinking about radical changes, no longer ruling out your growth by making others the cause of your constriction. Interesting. I like the bit it says, examining the payoffs of remaining stuck. So in one of the previous weeks, one of the tasks were to look at the ways we sabotage ourselves. And yeah, mine was about scrolling, late at night, which I've stopped doing. Maybe not eating healthy, not sleeping at the right time, stuff like that, which is, these are detrimental things in the end. And how is that? Because we sabotage ourselves it's not really sabotaging really, because your brain is always trying to keep you safe. So it's more that we have limiting beliefs and your brain is trying to keep you there. And so the sabotaging behavior is really trying to keep me safe because of the limiting belief that I have. I hope that makes sense. So really it's about changing your limiting beliefs, and I know that that's what that's going to be about as well. So looking forward to it. And I realize every time I stop myself from moving on to the next week, I feel stuck and just need to plow through, even if I'm not feeling ready, whatever, or my period's there and I'm feeling a bit groggy and a bit in pain, whatever, moody. No, just move ahead. So let's move. This is my pep talk to myself. Let's move, let's make, let's continue making as well. I'm working on a portrait of myself. It wasn't really going to be a portrait at first, because I'm reluctant to draw figures, because I don't know. Also, I thought to myself yesterday that I don't have a style. I've spoken about this before. I don't feel like I have a stylized way of drawing or making it. And yes, it's because I'm not making enough. But I often think of Modigliani. It's not that I like his style so much. He's the guy. I put some work up now. They have the long, thin noses. And then I think, I don't know, it's not like I don't rate natural style of drawing, but when I draw myself, because I'm just using myself at the moment, I haven't been back to life drawing for a while, and I'm kind of trying to make it not look realistic, but I'm trying to honour the anatomy and learn it. Ultimately, it just comes down to being just doing more work, because the more I get fluid and comfortable and just drawing the body, the more I can play with it and distort it and then come up with my own style. Anyway, I've seen a few pieces of work that I'm inspired by that I'm going to implement into this, because I don't know where I'm going with this. And oftentimes I don't really know where I'm going with any of my artwork, actually. So, and I like working like that.